3 days, one wedding and a whole new country to explore. From Paris to Monastir and then further to Tunis. In just 3 days we fit in more experiences than seemed real. A traditional wedding, a party at the bride's family house, ancient Carthage, the postcard perfect streets of Sidi Bou Said, and finally the big wedding celebration in Tunis. Here is to rich traditions, warm hospitality and a breathtaking country we were lucky enough to discover. Come with me to Tunisia, you're going to love it. Okay guys, I'm back in Paris after 3 intense days in Tunisia. Honestly, I don't even know where to start. I'm in the airport again, going to Tunisia. This is my friend slash ex-colleague. Gonna spend amazing 3 days on the wedding of our friends and I'm so excited. I always wanted to see the traditions of Oriental Arab weddings. Can't wait to see my friends and I think this is gonna be exciting.
It'll be fun.
Would be fun. That's all he can say. He doesn't want to be popular. The wedding celebration took place partly in Monastir and partly in Tunis. Our friend actually warned us to avoid flying with Tunis Air, so we chose Transavia instead. We flew from Paris to Monastir and then back home from Tunis. The round trip cost us about 300 euros per person and the flight itself took just between 2 and 2.5 hours. By the way, did you know Tunisia is consistently among the top 5 olive oil exporters in the world? As we landed, we saw endless olive trees stretching in perfect rows below us. We walked just outside the airport area and grabbed a taxi there, instead of paying the ridiculous prices right at the exit. Later in Tunis, we discovered the InDrive app, super fast, fair prices, and most rides around the city were around 10 dinars, which is just 3 euros actually. The apartment we rented for one night in Monastir was an absolute gem. A duplex with 2 separate bedrooms and a huge terrace overlooking the Marina. It's very spacious and for one night we paid about 40 euros per person. It's actually pity we didn't have more time to enjoy it because the place was really cozy. We couldn't properly explore the city either, but we still managed a little tour around the Marina, such a cute and peaceful spot. And just behind our apartment was a beautiful beach. Fun fact, the sea here is really shallow, so if you actually want to swim, you need to walk quite far from the shore. Shortly after, we had to rush back to the apartment. The groom was about to pick us up, and the very first day of the wedding was just beginning. The first day of the wedding took place in Benon, a town just outside Monastir where Wissam is from. By the way, this is Wissam, the groom. We worked together with these guys for years and that's how colleagues became friends. The first celebration was traditional, following customs from Monastir and Wissam's family. Together with more friends from France, we stopped at a shop for traditional clothes to fully join the evening's festivities.
Voilà, bonjour.
Right after, we headed to Wissam's family house for the meal. His family had prepared a full setup in their yard with delicious food for friends and relatives. People came and went over several hours enjoying the dishes at their own pace. We had rice with nuts, incredibly tender meat and of course a spicy salad. Tunisians really love their spice. When it was time, everyone changed into the traditional outfits and the atmosphere was magical. I loved this part. Soon after, it was time to head to the main wedding celebration. And oh my god, can we talk about this venue? Absolutely stunning. By the way, this was my look for the first day. I was almost screaming with excitement, finally at a real Oriental wedding. And then came the dancing, and this is what I absolutely adored about weddings in Tunisia. People just don't stop dancing here. The energy was unreal. Yes, I know you're excited to see the bride, so were we, and here she comes. Meet the gorgeous Saïd in her absolutely stunning bridal look. Then came one of the most beautiful parts of the evening, the Amaria tradition. The bride is carried in a decorated palanquin called the Amaria, symbolizing honor, joy, and her royal-like status on this special day. And then, guess what? Of course, non-stop dancing. By the way, the wedding was alcohol-free. Instead, we enjoyed sweet treats with tea and fresh juices. And then came the henna tradition. In many Tunisian cities, it's mostly for the bride, but in Monastir and with Wissam's family traditions, it was for the groom. A large plate of sweets was brought out, and on Wissam's palm, a henna design was drawn. Henna is all about blessing, protection, and joy for the couple. Afterward, friends shared the sweets from the plate as a way of sharing in the blessing. And that was it for our first day. Early the next morning, we were off to Tunis, about a 3-hour ride ahead of us. It's day 2 and we are already on our way to Tunis from Monastir. Yesterday it was the first day of the wedding.
The dance was nice.
The dance. I had a feeling yesterday that everyone was dancing all the time. They didn't stop dancing, and I love it. Every time the music was on, the mother of the groom, she came to our table and she was like, "It's time to dance. You have to dance." So it was kind of our mission. Am I filming? Yeah. At the end of the evening, they kind of did like a mark, or I don't know, with
It's some kind of like temporary tattoo where you put that on the end of the groom, like on a kind of like a cross symbol.
It was so much fun, and today we are still having the dinner at the bride's place, and tomorrow.
Yeah, just a common wedding.
yeah. So stay tuned. When we arrived to Tunis, the first stop was our Airbnb. I was so excited because it was in a traditional style, and honestly even better than in the photos on Booking. And yes, there was a private little pool right in the inner courtyard of the apartment. There are 3 separate bedrooms and it can fit up to 6 people. If you're just 2, it works out to about 100 euros per person for 2 nights. Totally worth it. After chilling a bit at our Airbnb, our driver Mohammed picked us up. We didn't have much time to fully enjoy Tunisia, but we still wanted to see as much as possible. So we headed straight to Carthage. It was once one of the most powerful cities of the ancient world, founded by the Phoenicians, later destroyed and rebuilt by the Romans. Today it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and you can explore its ruins with a single ticket that costs less than 4 euros, valid for all the sites for the whole day. We had enough time to see the Terme d'Antonin, the remains of enormous Roman bath, once among the largest in the empire. Can you believe this was built nearly 2,000 years ago? They were actually built right by the sea using seawater in their system. And what's amazing is that you can get really close to explore them. Then the Roman villas, where you can still find mosaics that survived for centuries. These were once luxurious houses with spacious courtyards, columns, and even private baths. A true glimpse into how the Roman elites lived here. And finally, the amphitheatre on Odeon Hill, which was actually being set up for a concert that very evening. It was definitely an express visit, but I'm so glad we managed to experience at least a part of this beauty. Then we headed to Sidi Bou Said, a charming town about 20 kilometers northeast of Tunis. We wandered through its signature white and blue streets, which reminded me a bit of the Greek islands, and Mohammed made us try bambalouni, a light, fluffy Tunisian donut, fried golden and dusted with sugar. It's an absolute must-do in Sidi Bou Said. Then we passed by Dar Jaziri. I really recommend stopping by this stunning store and small museum. The interior is just beautiful, and downstairs you'll find a shop with a variety of ceramic pieces. While upstairs there is a museum with ancient pottery, Arabic manuscripts, and a traditional wedding dress that's incredibly heavy, by the way. I even picked up a beautiful ceramic stand as a souvenir. And yes, don't forget to haggle a little. We finished our walk with a breathtaking view over the sea and of course tea at the Café des Délices. Originally known as the Café de Sidi Bou, this terrace cafe from the 1960s is perched high in the village, offering panoramic views over the Gulf of Tunis. And that was it for our little cultural tour. We returned home to get ready for the second day, the dinner and party at the bride's family house. On the second day of the wedding, Saïda invited us to a family dinner at her house. It began exactly as you would imagine a family dinner. Delicious homemade food, laughs, and everyone gathered together at the table. But then, after the meal, we went up to the terrace, and to our surprise, it turned into a full celebration. With a live band, so many guests, and non-stop festivities. This is what a family dinner looks like in Tunisia. And here comes our Saïda, arriving in a long red dress, absolutely stunning. The best part is that all the neighbors understood the occasion. No one complained about the loud music, and in fact, one neighbor even surprised Saïda with fireworks. We enjoyed salty and sweet treats, little canapés, and of course more non-stop dancing. The band was fantastic, the atmosphere so welcoming, and Saïda even placed chairs right next to her so we could stay close. At the end of the night, Saïda changed into a futa and blusa that once belonged to her late grandmother. Such a moving and unforgettable moment. And that wrapped up our day two in Tunisia, full of memories and still one more day to go. Hello guys! It's day 3 in Tunis. Yesterday it was the second day of marriage and they were like, okay, we're dance now.
Yeah, stop sitting here. Just go back to the dance floor, right?
Everyone understands that the wedding should be celebrated loud.
Yeah, and even I think the neighbor were invited to the place of the bride to just enjoy dinner and spend time.
When I say like you celebrate loud, it's very loud. By the end of the evening, the music was really, I had a feeling that I don't hear anything anymore.
It was, I checked an app and it was like 100 decibels. That's why like our ears are buzzing.
Yeah, I mean that's difficult, and I saw there were so many little kids, and they were fine with that. We are very fragile. We are not used to it. So impressive. Every day it's different, because the first day we were in Monastir, so it's the family of the groom who organized, and there were the traditions from their region. And yesterday the bride showed us how her family celebrate.
Good foods also. I think this isn't like talked enough by Elana, but food is amazing.
We are very happy. We are treated so well here.
And the people are really kind.
The people
really
are just incredible. Every person we met here so far, everyone is super welcoming. Everyone wants to do the best for us. J'adore. You've probably noticed this part was filmed in a beautiful spot by the sea. It's called Coucou Beach. The ride took us about 1 hour and 20 minutes from Tunis. You leave your car nearby and then take a little boat across to reach the beach club of your choice. We chose Sauvage Beach Club, which was really nice, and Saïda, as a local, also recommended Lovina Island Beach, so definitely keep it in mind if you are visiting Tunis. It's our third day in Tunisia. Tomorrow we are going back home to Paris Paris, but before that we're still having the main wedding tonight. It's been so much fun in the past 3 days. We've created already so many memories, and I'm just so impressed by the warmth of this country and its people. We're just having best time of our lives here. And about alcohol, obviously Tunisia is a Muslim country and the majority of people don't drink alcohol here, and you can't really freely buy it in the beach club or in the cafes. And some restaurants, they do have a license to sell alcohol, and also some of big supermarket chains, they also sell it. We are attending a zero alcohol wedding. It's a new experience for us. We have so many impressions from this trip that we don't even need alcohol. Guys, you need to be prepared for one thing. Everything is super sugary here. I mean added sugar, because for example at home I drink tea without sugar, and here the tea is very tasty but too sweet for me, like really intense, like that in everything. If you're a person who don't really consume added sugar on daily basis, it can be really intense for you or if you're just not used to it. So today in the beach club I ordered a virgin mojito that is also very sweet, but I decided that I'm on holidays and I'm not going to think about it until I'm back in Paris. Chilling at the beach was the best decision to recover from the previous 2 nights. Festivities in Tunisia usually start around 9 or 10 p.m. and go on late into the night, so by the morning we were pretty exhausted and this day of rest was much needed. We paid 80 dirhams per person, which is about 25 euros, and that included a private cabana for the whole day, the round-trip boat transfer from the parking to the beach club, lunch with a starter, a main dish, I personally had a grilled fish, and even a plate of fruits. I think it's an incredible deal for everything that's included. On the way back we were super excited because one more evening of wedding celebrations was waiting for us. It promised to be just as unique as the previous 2. And voila, 1 hour later we were all ready for the final part of the festivities. Today it was time for the modern version of the wedding. But before that, let's just take a moment to appreciate Enzo, who communicated with the taxi driver who didn't speak French. Good job, Enzo.
Tu connais les briques? Ouais, les briques, comme ça. Demain, tu dis Mléoui. Ok. Ah, Mléoui. Oui. C'est pas à Tunis. Hein? Monastir. Oui, ما تقعد تونس رجال تونس المطبقة كسكسي ملوخية شكون
And back to the wedding, this time at Vienna Events House, a truly massive and stunning location, beautifully set up with lights everywhere. I would say there were around 300 people, and that's when the most touching moments began. Wissam, accompanied by his father, and Saïda, accompanied by her father and brother, met in the middle as all the lights focused on them for their first dance. I have to admit, I dropped a few tears. Yes, I do cry at weddings because it looked absolutely magical. By the way, before the trip, I was wondering if it's okay to wear clothes with open shoulders, shorts, or even mini dresses for women in Tunisia. And after 3 days, I can tell you with 100% confidence, yes, absolutely no problem. And even at the wedding, women wore all kinds of beautiful dresses, both open and more covered styles. And then you already know the dancing part. There were several singers quite famous in Tunisia. For example, the very first singer of the night has over 5 million followers on Instagram. What I loved most is that she didn't just perform in Arabic, but also sang a few songs in French and Italian. Beautiful gesture for all the foreign guests. By the way, that night the festivities didn't include dinner. Instead, it was more like sweet and salty canapes, which for me was honestly more than enough. Then, of course, came the cake and even more dancing. wrapped it up with some photos with the newlyweds, and that was the perfect ending to our wedding trip in Tunisia. Of course, not everything was picture perfect. One thing that touched me deeply was seeing so many stray cats and dogs, often in very poor condition. As someone with a lot of empathy for animals, it was heartbreaking. Another thing was the amount of trash we noticed along the roads. It doesn't take away from Tunisia's beauty or hospitality, but I do hope that one day this will change for every country in the world.
King is not standing. Hello guys.
Hello guys! Last 3 days, every day we went to bed around 3 a.m. That was really great, but also that will be very great to have a rest in Paris. So, Tunisian stars.
Yeah, the Tunisian Shakira we saw.
Tunisian Shakira. Yes, that's true.
The entrance of the bride and also the what's the other one?
Groom. What's the other one? Wissam. What's the other one?
But yeah, the entrance of them, like they came like from part of the room with both their mom and dad, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's very, and with brother, because Saïda was with her father and brother. Yeah.
And I think maybe there was the sister with them that was coming along with them. Really nice. And there was also some Ed Sheeran during like some kind
Ed
of
Sheeran.
dance.
The first dance was with Ed Sheeran song "Perfect." That was very cute.
And what's funny also is like we met a few people like during the last 2 days before yesterday, and when we came to the room, like everyone was like welcoming us, like saying, nice to see you again, etc. So we felt welcome.
In the last 3 days we were treated so well. Every evening we were given the best places. We were like really in the middle of everything because people wanted us to see the traditions, to be like in the first row. And that was so cute, actually priceless. Tunisia, it's about its people, and the people here are amazing.
Really nice.
I didn't try the cake because I was dancing when the cake was distributed, and when I came to the table, everyone already was eating cake. And
it was really good though.
Okay, thanks for letting me know. I think that's it. I think we're good. So yeah, we're coming back to Paris, and invite us to your weddings. We're gonna come. We're gonna come to your weddings and bring the party. Bye bye, guys.